General Kyle stood at the center of the High Council chamber of the Zircon Empire, his tall, armored form casting a long shadow under the cold white lights. Outside, the stars stretched endlessly, the galaxy a canvas of power and conquest. He had seen more battles than most could imagine, and yet today he felt an unease he could not shake. "Humans are different," he began, his voice firm but measured. The council members, each a high-ranking alien with sharp claws and glimmering eyes, turned to him. Some leaned forward, curious, others impatient. "They are small, fragile, and untrained, but they are clever. They adapt faster than any species we have encountered. If we force them into war, they will become a problem we cannot control." A murmur went through the chamber. The Zircons prided themselves on their strength, on their domination of countless star systems. They had conquered planets with fleets larger than whole human populations. Yet Kale's warning was different. It was not about numbers or strength, but potential. "Potential!" snapped High Chancellor Varric, his voice sharp like a dagger. "They are barely spacefaring. They have no weapons worthy of our attention. This council has no need to consider them a threat." Kale's eyes narrowed. He had faced Varric many times before, in strategy debates and battlefield councils. The Chancellor was brilliant in his arrogance. "Chancellor," Kale said, steady but firm, "I have fought in hundreds of wars. I have studied species from the outer edges to the core worlds. Humans are small, yes, but they are unpredictable. Their minds work differently. They innovate. They learn. And when pressed, they fight with an endurance that rivals our own." The council laughed softly. "Endurance? Against us?" one of the generals said, amusement clear in his tone. "Their entire fleet could be destroyed in a single sweep. Their colonies are defenseless." Kale shook his head. "And that is why I speak now. Underestimating them will be a mistake. If we invade, they will resist in ways we cannot predict. They may call upon other races. They may use our own technology against us. I am telling you, leave them neutral. Do not provoke them. There is still time." Silence filled the chamber for a moment, heavy and tense. Then, with a dismissive gesture, Chancellor Varric spoke. "Your concern is noted, General Kale, but humans are irrelevant. Our empire will expand, and their species will either serve us or be removed. There is no need to debate this further." Kyle felt a knot in his stomach. He had warned them. He had pleaded for caution. And yet the arrogance of the council ignored every word. He clenched his fists beneath his cloak, knowing that once the decision was made, there would be no turning back. Outside the chamber, Kyle moved through the corridors of the flagship Oblivion's Edge. The fleet was ready for deployment. Tens of thousands of ships, gleaming with polished armor and deadly weapons, were prepared to descend upon human space. Kale's mind, however, was elsewhere. He thought of humans, those fragile beings on a small blue planet called Earth. They were young in the galaxy, barely venturing into space. Their technology was primitive by Zircan standards, but there was something in their spirit that Kale could sense from the reports he had studied. Something the Empire failed to recognize. Resilience. For hours, he went through his plans quietly, mapping contingencies and analyzing potential outcomes. Kyle knew that once the fleet moved, it would be too late to stop the bloodshed. And if humans truly were as clever and resourceful as he suspected, their survival could spark events that might shake the Empire itself. Meanwhile, far away on Earth, humans were unaware of the looming threat. In orbit, a small research station floated above the planet. Scientists monitored cosmic signals, adjusting instruments and sharing excited chatter about strange transmissions from deep space. One young researcher, Elena, squinted at her console. "These signals," she muttered, "they're not natural. Someone, or something, is trying to communicate." Her colleague, Mark, looked over her shoulder. Maybe it's just interference from satellites, or a new pulsar we haven't cataloged yet. Elena shook her head. No, this is different. It's structured, patterned, intelligent. Back in the Zircon fleet, Kale studied human activity reports. Their colonies were growing slowly but steadily. Small ships traveled between worlds, trading goods, sharing knowledge, and building networks. The humans were unarmed, but Kale saw potential in their unity and adaptability. He began secretly transmitting coded messages to his allies on distant systems, warning them to monitor humans carefully. The first wave of Zircon attack ships launched quietly from the fleet. Their mission: survey and subdue human defenses before any retaliation could occur. Kale ordered his own squadron to lag behind, observing humans without direct interference. He did not trust his council, and he would not allow unnecessary slaughter if it could be avoided. In the early stages, humans were shocked by the sudden appearance of alien ships. Communication attempts were made, messages sent into space in hopes of peaceful contact. But when a scouting vessel was fired upon by Zircon drones, panic spread through the colonies. Yet even in fear, humans acted quickly. Engineers retrofitted satellites into early warning devices. Scientists and pilots collaborated, creating defensive formations from their small fleet. Despite being outmatched in firepower, their movements were clever and unpredictable. They used asteroid fields for cover, rerouted energy from power grids to reinforce shields, and even repurposed some alien technology they captured. Kale observed every maneuver, impressed. They were learning faster than he anticipated. Each small victory against the Empire's drones boosted human confidence. Their ingenuity was raw but effective. "General," a subordinate called. "The humans. They are adapting faster than expected. Our drones are being repelled at multiple points." Kale nodded slowly. "This is why I warned the Council," he said quietly. "They are not weak. They are dangerous. Not because of strength, but because of their minds. Every failure we force upon them will teach them something new." On Earth, humanity began to realize the scale of the threat. Leaders convened emergency meetings, but panic was tempered by determination. People worked together across colonies, sharing strategies and improvising solutions. For every attack, humans responded with a plan. For every obstacle, they found a way to adapt. In the Zircon High Council, frustration grew. Generals demanded Kale's fleet be given direct orders to crush the humans immediately. Kale resisted subtly, creating small delays and diversions. He knew that once humans were provoked into full-scale war, the consequences could be catastrophic for the Empire. He also began sending covert messages to humans, disguised as natural phenomena. Small hints, coordinates, and advice were embedded in signals that humans interpreted as anomalies. Kyle hoped they would understand, even if just partially, that not all Zircons were enemies. Days passed. Skirmishes flared across the colonies, each encounter revealing human cleverness. A mining colony used machinery to construct improvised turrets. A scientific station hacked a drone swarm, turning it against the attackers. Human resilience, creativity, and courage became visible not only to Kale, but also to minor alien observers. Kale could feel the tension building. The Empire was blind to the truth, blinded by pride and arrogance. Humans, meanwhile, were awakening to their own potential. In small acts of courage and ingenuity, they were writing the first chapters of a story that would soon ripple across the stars. That night, Kale stood alone on the observation deck of Oblivion's edge, gazing at the blue dot that was Earth. He whispered to himself, almost as a prayer, "May they survive. May they grow. The Empire cannot see what I see, but they must not destroy this spark. It could be the galaxy's last hope." The stars stretched endlessly, but in the midst of the darkness, one small species shone brightly, not in power, but in potential. And General Kale knew, with a certainty he could not ignore, that humanity's story was just beginning. The warning had been given. The choice had been ignored. And now, the first steps toward a war that no one could predict were underway. The first attack had been brief, but it left humans shaken and determined. Across the small human colonies scattered among the stars, alarms blared as distant alien ships swept through the atmosphere, scanning, probing, and testing defenses. But humans, though unprepared for full-scale war, refused to crumble. On the surface of New Alexandria, a mining colony on a rocky planet, Elena paced in the command center. Her fingers flew across a console, sending signals and recalibrating satellites for early detection. Beside her, Mark and a team of engineers huddled over makeshift schematics. "They're coming again," Mark said, worry lacing his voice. The ships weren't scouting this time. They're moving for an attack. Elena didn't respond immediately. Her mind raced. Every report from orbit, every signal intercepted, painted the same picture. The aliens were advanced, heavily armed, and merciless. But humans had something the Zircons could not understand yet: their creativity. "Listen," she said finally. "We can't match their firepower, but we can think faster. If we use the asteroid belts nearby for cover and reroute our energy grids to power the defense shields, we can make it much harder for them to hit us." A young engineer, Ravi, looked up, eyes wide. "We don't have weapons strong enough. They'll destroy us in minutes." Elena smiled faintly. "Not if we make them work for it. Not if we make them fight our way. Not theirs." High above in orbit, the Zircon fleet prepared its next assault. Swarms of drones detached from the main ships, moving in precise formations, their sensors searching for weaknesses. The Zircons believed they could crush humans in hours, perhaps even minutes. But General Kale, observing from his command post, noticed the humans' new defensive measures. "They are learning," Kale muttered under his breath, "and faster than expected." He adjusted his fleet orders subtly. Some drones were delayed, others rerouted. Kale wanted humans to have room to show their ingenuity. He knew that once provoked into full-scale war, the humans' adaptability would become impossible to contain. The first encounter came over the mining colony. Zircon drones descended from orbit, firing energy pulses toward the ground stations. But humans had prepared. Mining machines were repurposed into makeshift barricades. Satellites rerouted power to defensive lasers. Every ship, every station moved in a coordinated effort. Despite being outgunned, the humans fought back. Their strategy was not brute force, but clever improvisation. When drones attacked, they were funneled into narrow corridors between asteroids, making their precise movements difficult. Some drones collided with rocks or each other, while human laser systems struck with unexpected accuracy. Kale watched with a mixture of awe and concern. "They are thinking in ways we cannot predict," he said. "Every action teaches them. Every mistake we force upon them is a lesson." Meanwhile, on the colony's surface, humans celebrated small victories, cheering each time a drone was disabled. Elena's team directed operations like seasoned generals, though they were only students, engineers, and civilians. Their unity, courage, and quick thinking made them stronger than any Zircan sensor could detect. At another human settlement, engineers hacked into a downed drone system. With limited understanding, they rewired the controls, turning the alien drone into a makeshift weapon against the attacking fleet. The Zircons had never imagined their technology could be used against them by a species so small and seemingly fragile. Back in the fleet, the Zircan Council was furious. Reports came in showing higher-than-expected losses. General after general demanded the humans be crushed immediately. Kyle, however, delayed orders under various pretenses. "They are too unpredictable," Kyle said to himself. "If we force them too hard, we may create something uncontrollable." On a distant research station, humans discovered that the alien ships used a specific energy frequency for communications. By broadcasting a counter-signal, they could disrupt drones temporarily, buying precious time. They tested their theories in small skirmishes, learning quickly. Every encounter gave them experience. Every failure became a stepping stone. As days passed, humans began forming alliances with minor alien races who had also suffered under Zircan rule. Traders, explorers, and small militarized colonies secretly provided supplies, intelligence, and safe passage. The humans' ability to forge trust and coordinate was unmatched. Even Kale was impressed. "They do not fight alone," Kale observed during a council simulation. "They turn weakness into strength by creating unity. This is unprecedented." For the humans, every victory was born from ingenuity. A colony on Epsilon Prime created a series of decoys, small drones that emitted the same signals as human ships. When the Zircons fired upon the decoys, the real ships moved silently into positions that allowed them to disable enemy drones with minimal risk. At New Alexandria, a major breakthrough occurred. Elena and her team modified a communication relay to intercept Zircon tactical messages. By predicting drone movements before they happened, humans could anticipate attacks and respond almost in real time. Each victory, though small, boosted morale. News of these victories spread quickly across human colonies. Even remote settlements learned to adapt, share strategies, and protect each other. Humans were no longer passive targets. They were becoming a force that the galaxy could not ignore. Kale's concern grew daily. The Council had ignored his warning, confident in the Empire's superiority. But humans, learning and adapting, began turning the tide in small but meaningful ways. Kale had to act carefully. One misstep could destroy humans entirely, or worse, awaken them fully to their potential as a galactic power. In one particularly bold encounter, humans used a combination of tactics never seen before. Mining machines dropped into orbit as heavy cover. Satellites formed a coordinated laser grid, and hijacked drones attacked in unpredictable formations. The Zircans lost an entire squadron, a humiliation the Council could not ignore. "General Kale!" barked one of the fleet commanders. "Your hesitance is costing the Empire!" Kyle remained calm. "They are learning. Let them learn. Our losses are small compared to what will come if we crush them too quickly." The humans' resistance inspired hope across the galaxy. News of their victories reached minor alien worlds, who began secretly aiding humans with supplies, intelligence, and small ships. The humans' ingenuity became a beacon for those oppressed under the Empire's rule. On Earth, leaders began to strategize on a larger scale. Colonies that were once isolated now shared resources and knowledge. Engineers designed new weapons from scavenged alien technology. Pilots practiced maneuvers using virtual simulations based on real encounters. Every setback became a lesson, every loss a stepping stone. Elena watched as young humans, children and teenagers alike, volunteered to assist in intelligence work, communications, and logistics. She realized that humans had something the Zircons could never understand: courage born not from experience, but from hope, and the will to survive. Kyle, observing all of this from afar, began taking more direct action. He sabotaged minor operations, rerouted ships, and even provided small hints in disguised signals to help humans survive. He risked his career and his life, knowing that the humans' potential was too valuable to destroy. By now, the humans had transformed from defenseless colonies into clever strategists. Every attack forced them to innovate. Every challenge taught them more about the galaxy, the Empire, and themselves. They were no longer small and irrelevant. They were becoming a species that could change the course of history. The Zircon Council grew restless and frustrated. They could not understand why humans, so weak in appearance, were resisting so effectively. Reports of losses, failed attacks, and human ingenuity reached Varric, who slammed his clawed hands on the council table in rage. "They are learning too fast," one general shouted. "How is this possible? They are a primitive species." Kyle said nothing, though his expression remained calm. Inside, he knew the truth. Humans were not primitive in the way the council believed. Their minds, their creativity, and their unity made them stronger than brute force could overcome. As Part 2 drew to a close, humans had won several small but significant battles, earning time and confidence. Colonies no longer feared destruction. They planned, adapted, and fought with cleverness and courage. Across the galaxy, whispers began. Humans were more than a species. They were a rising force. Kyle, once a loyal general of the Empire, now secretly hoped humans would continue to grow. If the Empire ignored them any longer, he knew that humans would not just survive, they might one day challenge even the mightiest of the stars. And for the first time, he realized the truth he had long feared. The Zircon Empire might have made the greatest mistake in its history by underestimating humanity. The ignition had begun. The spark of human ingenuity was spreading, and nothing could stop it now. The galaxy had begun to whisper about humans. Small colonies, once dismissed as fragile, were now showing signs of cleverness, resilience, and unexpected strength. Across the stars, minor alien races began secretly supplying humans with resources, intelligence, and ships, inspired by their courage. Humans had transformed from a passive species into a clever force that even the mighty Zircon Empire could not ignore. General Kale watched the developments from his flagship, Oblivion's Edge, with a mix of awe and apprehension. His predictions had been right. The humans were not weak, and their ingenuity had grown far faster than anyone could have imagined. But the Empire remained blind to the threat. The High Council continued to demand total destruction of human colonies, refusing to heed Kale's repeated warnings. Kale knew he could no longer remain a bystander. He began communicating secretly with human leaders, carefully embedding information within signals that appeared to be random transmissions or natural cosmic noise. Coordinates, tactical hints, and warnings about Zircon fleet movements were encoded in the signals. Only a few human scientists noticed the patterns, and they quickly realized that someone, or something, was guiding them. Elena, now the head strategist of the human coalition, examined the incoming signal one quiet night. Her eyes widened as she decoded it. This is not from any alien we know," she whispered to Mark. "It's almost like someone inside their fleet is helping us." Mark nodded. "Whoever it is, we owe them our lives." Meanwhile, the Zircon Empire prepared its largest offensive yet. Multiple fleets converged on human-controlled sectors, intent on total annihilation. But the humans were ready. Through the combined efforts of engineers, scientists, pilots, and even allied alien forces, they had established a network of defenses designed to anticipate and counter Zircon strategies. The first wave of attack arrived over New Alexandria. Massive warships descended, firing volleys of energy blasts, but humans were prepared. Using asteroid fields, diverted energy shields, and repurposed Zircon drones, they neutralized the initial assault. Pilots coordinated intricate maneuvers, leading enemy ships into traps and decoy zones. Every attack was met with a clever counterattack. Kale monitored the battle closely. His heart raced as he saw humans implementing tactics he had only dreamed they could. They anticipated the Zircon fleet's movements, adapted to unexpected attacks, and struck at vulnerabilities with precision. "They are exceeding every expectation," Kale muttered. "They are no longer a small species. They are strategists, diplomats, and warriors in their own right." On Epsilon Prime, a human-led coalition of minor alien races launched a daring maneuver. They intercepted a supply fleet critical to the Zircon offensive. With coordinated precision, they captured several ships and disabled others, creating chaos among the Zircon command. For the first time, humans were not only defending, they were striking effectively. Elena directed the fleet with calm authority, her voice steady over communication channels. Move to Sector 9. Deploy drones to intercept the main line. Focus on disabling engines first. Keep civilians out of range. Mark, coordinate with the colonies to provide backup. Mark replied. Understood. Sending instructions to the Allied colonies now. They're ready. As the battle raged, General Kale took a bold step. He openly defected, transmitting a message to both the Zircon fleets and humans. His message included critical intelligence on fleet weaknesses, tactical vulnerabilities, and strategic errors of the Empire. The Zircon High Council was stunned. Kyle, one of their most trusted generals, had betrayed them. "This is impossible!" shouted Chancellor Varric. "Kyle would never betray the Empire." Kyle's calm voice echoed through the comms. "I am saving the galaxy from a mistake you refuse to see. Humans are not your prey. They are a species that can teach us a lesson in humility. Your arrogance will destroy everything you claim to protect." The Zircon fleets faltered. Confusion spread among their commanders. Without Kale's guidance, their attacks became less coordinated. Humans and their allies seized the advantage. Using the information Kale provided, they set traps, disabled key weapon systems, and turned the Empire's own technology against them. On the battlefield, humans displayed ingenuity beyond expectation. Mining machines were transformed into mobile barricades. Satellites created defensive grids that adapted to the Zircon fleet's attacks. Captured drones acted as decoys and weapons. Every human colony contributed, creating a network of coordinated defense that the Empire had never anticipated. In one decisive strike, the human coalition targeted the Zircon command ship, which directed the entire offensive. Using a combination of deception, clever maneuvering, and Kale's intelligence, they disabled its engines and communications, leaving the fleet leaderless and disorganized. The tide of the battle turned. Chancellor Varric could no longer ignore the truth. "We underestimated them," he growled. "Humans. They are clever, coordinated, unstoppable." Kale's defection had changed everything. Humans now had not only their courage and creativity, but also the guidance of one of the most brilliant minds in the Empire. Using his insight, they launched a final coordinated attack. The Zircon forces, once confident of total victory, began a retreat under pressure from humans and allied forces. Back on New Alexandria, Elena watched the enemy fleet withdraw, relief washing over her. "We did it," she said quietly, looking at the battered but surviving fleet. "We actually did it." Mark placed a hand on her shoulder. "It's not just luck. We fought smart, adapted, and worked together. That's why we won." Kyle, observing the retreating fleet from orbit, allowed himself a rare smile. "They have become what I always knew they could be," he said softly. "Humans, clever, resilient, unstoppable when united." The Zircon Empire suffered a humiliating defeat. Across the galaxy, news spread of human ingenuity and courage. Once dismissed as weak and irrelevant, humans were now recognized as a species capable of surviving, thriving, and outsmarting even the mightiest empire. The minor alien races who had allied with humans celebrated quietly, but with hope. They had seen a new power rising in the galaxy, not just for conquest, but for justice, unity, and ingenuity. Humans had become a beacon, a symbol of what even the smallest species could achieve when cleverness and determination guided their actions. Kyle, once a loyal general of the Empire, now worked openly with humans to repair damage and build a lasting coalition. He advised them on defensive strategies, interstellar politics, and technology. Humanity, in turn, welcomed him, understanding that his knowledge and experience were invaluable. As the dust settled, the human colonies began to rebuild. Ships were repaired, infrastructure restored, and communities strengthened. Scientists and engineers shared knowledge, creating new innovations from both human and captured Zircon technology. Every victory had taught them something new, and they were ready to face the future with confidence. Elena looked out at the stars one evening, reflecting on how far humans had come. "We were so small, so fragile," she said to Mark. "And yet here we are, stronger, smarter, ready to survive anything." Mark nodded. "We learned, adapted, and never gave up. That's what makes us human. That's why we won." Kale, standing nearby, added quietly, "Your species has a spark that no one can extinguish. The Empire thought it could ignore you. They were wrong. Never let anyone make that mistake again." For the first time in history, humans were not just survivors. They were recognized as a clever, resilient, and respected species across the galaxy. They had faced overwhelming odds, defied expectations, and won not through sheer strength, but through intelligence, unity, and courage. The galaxy had changed. Humans had proven themselves, and their story was just beginning. They would continue to explore, adapt, and grow, leaving a mark that no empire could ever erase. The Empire, once arrogant and dismissive, had learned a hard lesson. Humanity was not weak. Humanity was clever, resourceful, and capable of rising above any challenge, and those who underestimated them would one day regret it. In the quiet aftermath, as stars twinkled across the void, Kale reflected on the irony. He had begged the Empire to leave humans alone. They had ignored him, and yet, in the end, it was the humans, those fragile, young, and underestimated beings, who emerged victorious. A new chapter had begun. The humans of Earth and their colonies were no longer simple observers of the galaxy. They were thinkers, innovators, diplomats, and warriors. And for the first time, the galaxy knew that humanity was a force to be respected, feared, and admired. And somewhere, deep in space, the spark of human ingenuity continued to grow, untouched, unstoppable, and ready for whatever the future might bring.